Okay, so welcome.
Recording is on.
Okay, nice. So, welcome once again, everybody, to today's sections on data analytics. This training section is organized by MacKenny Global Services and Consultancy. So, a good way to start with today, I saw pretty much some of you that were able to submit your assignments. And the good thing with some of the assignments I got, the feedback I got from the assignments was that most of you actually understood the concepts. So, part of what I was laying emphasis on in the last section was that the nature of the data you have can actually determine the kind of analytics you can do with that data. Oh, so if you need a particular sorts of data, then you need to follow the data analytical processes and ensure you're able to put your data together. So we look at diverse concepts in the last class, starting from historical data, which we call descriptive analytics. By the way, is there anybody in online right now that didn't get to submit the assignment because they did not understand how to go about it? If there is anyone and you need some sort of clarifications, you can also let me know. I can quickly touch on that. All right. So if I'm not getting feedback, it means all of us that are online right now understood the concepts and how it pretty works. Okay. Okay, great. So it means we can continue. So part of the key concept we talked about is the data analysis life cycle, which is something you need to keep very close to the at, because whenever you work with data analytics or data analysis within your data, you're going to be using these processes. Now, the processes often begin with ask a question, and based on the question you ask, you now talk about the kind of data elements, which I saw a lot of you did some pretty nice work, right? Ask some question, then you get your data elements so that you can start filling them up. Then you investigate. And we say during investigation, oftentimes you want to make sure that you're looking at your data to see if it can answer the questions you've asked. After that, you have to prepare your data. And I told you guys that preparing your data takes much time of your data analytical processes. So most of the time, it is said to be 80% is spent on preparing your data. Then you use 20% of the time to visualize. The reason is because data can come, sometimes come very dirty. I'll show you an example of what a very dirty data is later, and how to take care of all of those kind of data. Then from there, you can go ahead, analyze your data, then you can present your results. Okay, so today we'll see how we can apply these data analytic concepts. So, for example, if you work as a consultant for an organization, probably this organization already have their data, right? So, in such cases, you wouldn't necessarily be following the entire data analytical processes, which is ask questions and all of that. But then there is a way you can still apply all of these processes and be able to do what you want to do effectively. So, for example, I have this data set called bike sales data sets. So this bike sales data set, it has some information like dates, it has day, it has months, it has year, it has customer age, the age group, it has customer gender, it has country, it has states, it has product categories. All of the products are bike, but it also has subcategories. Under bike, you have different kind of bikes. You have road bikes, you have mountain bikes. Then we also have products. These products basically tells us their kind of colors and all of that. Then we have order quantity. Then from order quantity, we have the unit cost, which is how much per one. Yeah, right. Then we have the unit price sold. That's from the multiplication of what the order quantity and unit cost. Then we have profits, we have costs, as well as we have revenue. So this is a little data we have here. And if you look at this data from 1 to 100, I can say this data is about 80, no, let me say 90% clean. There are some cleaning we can still do, but then this may not totally disturb our analysis. But then let me point out something that is not well here. So you can see, for example, look at profits here. We all have value here, but we got to a point where you start seeing brackets. This is called data instability. And during data profiling, you are supposed to take care of issues like this, okay? And it is issues like this that make us conclude sometimes that data is dirty, right? Then if you look at product again, is there are a whole lot of inconsistency here. I hope we are together, right, everyone?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, okay, okay. So I want to be sure I wasn't just talking to myself. So okay, so uh part of the law of working with data while doing data profiling is that in a particular column, you shouldn't have more than one information, right? But as it is here, it seems we have, under this product, it seems we have more than one information. So you can see products and you can see a comma trying to list something else. So this can lead to what we call data ambiguity. And because of that, most of the time you want to take care of issues like this. It's either you split them into another column and find the appropriate names and things like that before you can go ahead with them. But today, we wouldn't be investing so much on data cleaning. Data cleaning is something we are going to do in our next class. I said a whole lot of time I spent on data cleaning. So we are going to invest the next class for data cleaning. But then, let's say we have this data, and since this data is about 90% clean, I can go ahead and say I want to do an analysis with this data. So if you're dealing with conventional data, most of the time you want to make sure you check this data all through and ensure that these data are totally clean, just as I was able to point out things. Okay. So um before now, of course, if you want to be an expert in maybe Excel, you may need to work with functions where you can do a whole lot of maybe some related activities, find average, and use all of those functions. So usually in Excel, if you need to write any formula, you would have to actually begin with the equal to sign. But things have gone a whole lot beyond this, and that's why in more recent versions of Excel, um, there is Power Query built into your Excel that you can do a whole lot of things without doing function. And that's how data analysts work with Excel these days. Because if you spend a whole lot of time writing function, you become cracky, and tasks you're supposed to do within a shorter period of time, you take a whole lot of time to do that. So in the next class, we'll invest a lot of time dealing with issues like that using the Power Query. So it's a very powerful tool adopted by data analysts to do a whole lot of data wrangling. Okay, so data wrangling is in data analytics is a concept to say data cleaning. So so especially within the data analysis field, most of the time you see them using the word data wrangling. Data wrangling is the same thing as saying data cleaning. Okay, so most of the time you want to make sure that these data have a good shape for analysis. All right, great. So I have this my data here. So the next thing I want to do with this data is I want to make sure that this data get into my pivot table, which is something you would want to do all the time when you're working or trying to do analysis with Excel. Pivot table give you this flexibility to be able to quickly analyze your data and work with this data. Okay, so how does it work? Okay, so I have this data set here. Before you can use pivot table, you must first click anywhere around your data. Okay, so for example, I want to use pivot table. I'll click anywhere around my data. Then I can go ahead and click on insert. Okay, so when I click on insert, I'm going to see a whole lot of options depending on the version you're using. Mind you, while if you want to use maybe the Power Query I talked about earlier, you must be using Excel version maybe from version 2013 and above. And how do you check the version of Excel you're working with? All you have to do is to go to File, then go ahead and click on, I think, Options. Okay, not Options. You need to click on Account. Okay, so you go to File, then click on Account. Then just here, you're going to see the version you're using. So for me, I'm using version 365. This is um, the most latest is the cloud base. Of course, all of the packages of Excel are usually updated in 365. But if you have anything from version 2013 and above, you will be able to work with Power Query more effectively. Okay, that's for the next class, anyways. So, so I said if you need to deal with Power Query, you will need to click on somewhere around your data. So most of the time, in data analysis, you often advise that whenever you want to analyze or work with your data, the first thing you want to do is convert those data to table. Okay. So, and I think that's the first thing I may want to do here is by going to insert section and I'll click on table. Okay. So once I click on table, you can see once you click anywhere around your data and you go to insert and click on table, it's going to highlight your entire data. So you can see my entire data is well highlighted. I'm just double checking to make sure everything is well picked. And you can see this little notification here telling you the range at which the data has been selected. Okay. And if your data is having header or title, you want to make sure that this is checked. But if there is no title, uncheck this. Okay. In our case, we have title where we have date, year, customer age, and age group. So as a result of that, I can just go ahead and click on what? Okay. So once you click on OK, this is formatted as a table, right? Looking nice and better. Okay. So this is the format. This is usually the first thing you want to do in Excel before you move into your pivot table. Okay. Now that I have all of my data well selected and converted, the next thing I want to do is to click anywhere here once again, or anywhere in your data, then go back to insert again, and this time I want to pick pivot table. So I'll go ahead, pick pivot table, and there are options here. The first one says from table range, and the second one says from external data sources. So if you need to do data modeling, that's when you do this. But for now, this is what we pick from table range, because we want to cover the entire table range we are working with right now. So for that, I can just go ahead and click on from table. So once you click from table, you would see that your table has been highlighted once again, right? And in this notification you get here, you can see the name of this table. The name of this table is table 1. It is something that you can rename if you want to, but right now it is table 1 and I'm okay with it. So it's asking you, where do you want to create a new pivot table? What environment? So here you have a new worksheet, and here you also have existing worksheet. So you stick with new worksheet when you want to make sure that you want an extra sheet where you can do your analysis from. And you can decide to pick existing worksheets if probably you want to continue working here. But most of the time, it is advised you go with new worksheets so that you can have new environments where you work. In such way, you can stay even more organized. Okay, so I'm going to pick up new worksheets, and I'll go ahead and click on what? Okay. Okay. And there we go. So you can see we now have this new environment. So this is where my original data is. I can just, for organization's sake, I can double click on sheet 1 and name it data. Then for organization's sake, I can double click on sheet 2 and name it pivot table. So this is my pivot section, right? Yeah. So are we all good to this point? Do we all understand how I got to this point, or you need me to go through something?
So sorry, my network is just throwing me in and out
Oh,
most of the
okay.
class.
Not to
Any
worry.
help,
We have
please?
a recording section. I think that could probably help
Okay.
you once that is shared. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Now. Okay. So here we go. So you can see by the far right side, we have a couple of things. Headers of for our data. We have the date, the day, the month, the year, the customer age group, customer gender, country, states, product categories, subcategories, and product and other quantities, unit cost, unit price, and all of that. So all of those titles we have has been converted into fields so that we can easily work with it. And in these pivot table sections, you now have a structure for how you may want to organize your data. So we have filter section for filtering data. We have column section for organizing data in column wise. We have rows for organizing data in row wise, and we have values. This value, as you can see here, are summations. Most of the time, when you have numeric values, you want to place them here. as this is where most of the aggregations are often done. Okay, nice. So now that we understand these fields, so what it means is that, for example, if I need to pick maybe my subcategories, right? Two ways I can do this. I'm sure this is their categorical value, meaning they are represented in text, because subcategories in our data section, the subcategory contains contains these values. So because of that, I can go back and I'm just going to pick subcategory here. I can decide to arrange them in column wise by holding and dragging to this field. So I held it by clicking on left click and I dragged to this position. If I leave it here, you can see this has been organized in column wise, right? You have mountain bike and you have road bikes, and then you have a grand total, maybe the summations of these two values. And if you look at them, that's what we actually have here. We have road bike and mountain bike. Okay, yeah. So by so doing, I've been able to organize them into this shape. Okay. So if I don't want them column wise, I want them row wise, I can drag it to the rows. And there we go. Right? This make things more organized depending on the nature of the data you're dealing with. So if I want to quantify their sales, right? Maybe I want to know which of the bikes we are having more sales on. I can do that by just looking out for our sales. Okay, so I'm not too sure what the sale is here, but let me just double check. So this is the cost. Okay, so this is our unit price. This is the quantity. So I think the multiplication of these two value gives us this unit price. Then we have profit, we have cost and revenue. Okay, so yeah, so just to be sure, I can do some multiplications to be sure which is our total sales. Okay, so that yeah, so this kind of data already exists before now, and working with such data would require you to have proper understanding of the nature of the data. Okay, so the cost column actually carries our total sales. How did I know? From the multiplication of this unit cost by the quantity actually gave us this value. So if I want, maybe in future I can rename this to sales so that nobody gets confused with the data. But that's still okay. So I can go back to my pivot table and I'm going to look out for cost. Okay. So another thing is, if you don't want to hold on to them and drag, you can just check them up. Sometime your pivot table can organize it well, okay, by just checking, which is what I'll do now. I can just check on this box. You can see it places it, because it's numeric, it places it under the value section. Okay, and there we go. So by looking at this quickly, we can easily say for most of these sales, we are having more of road bikes sales than mountain bikes, right? Because this is around 378,047 and this is just 62,600, right? So no matter how large this data is, by just doing a quick analysis for my pivot table, I've been able to identify which bike this organization is selling the most and why they should start looking at even getting more of these bikes. Okay, So what I've done here is a summary analysis, but then as a data analyst, most of the time you want to leave your work in a chart format. Okay, so to do that, I can ensure that this is checked. Then I can go to pivot table analyze, and under this pivot table analyze, I can look out for pivot charts. Okay, so all I need to do is click on pivot charts. Then I'm going to get different recommendations of charts I can decide to work with. So these are different bar charts I can use if I want to use bar charts. There's line charts. So line charts may not really be good for this data. It just uh, the line isn't good enough. Pie chart, you can decide to go with pie chart. There's bar chart, you can decide to opt for a bar chart. So depending on what you want, so there are a whole lot of charts that Excel supports. Okay, so but what I'm going to do for this case, I can just stick with column charts. Then I can pick any of the um, design that I want. Maybe if I want, I can go for these 3D cluster column charts. Then I can go ahead and click on OK. Okay. So once you click on OK, of course, you're going to have this chart here. Okay. So from this chart, we can see that more of the sales are coming from where? More of the sales are coming from where? Are you guys there?
Bikes. Yes.
Yeah, more of our sales are coming from
Road
where?
bikes.
Yeah, road bikes.
Road bikes.
Yeah,
The road bikes.
yeah, exactly. So because of that, when you are doing analysis, make sure that you organize it in a way that when somebody sees it, you don't need to do much explanation before the person understand what is going on. So if I leave here to be total, somebody can see it and be like, total what? What are we totaling? So because of that, I want to change this by double clicking, and I'm going to change this to maybe total sales. Okay, so that everyone would understand that what we are dealing with here is for total sales. Okay, so for some reasons, if I want, I may decide not to go with or have these legends here, so that my charts can have a whole enough space. I can decide to disable these grid lines that we have here, just to ensure that my charts looks even much better. So you have these two options here that helps you customize how your chart look like, right? So I can go to this option here, and I want to quickly turn off this grid lines. So this grid lines is this lines you're seeing here. So I'm going to turn it off. And once I turn it off, you can see it makes my charts even look more interesting. Then for some reason, I don't need this legends. It's only showing blue color, so I don't need it. I'm taking it off, and my charts pan out a bit. Also, this and this does not serve any purpose here. Because of that, I can just right click on it, and I'm going to click on hide all field buttons on charts. Once I do that, you can see my chart. I have a better control or a better look at what my chart is looking at. Okay. So again, I can decide and say, okay, uh, I want a different colors for these guys. Okay. So for that purpose, I can click on the buy itself, and make sure I am just on one of these. Then I can go ahead and click on the fill section currently is on blue. I can decide to change it to something cool. Okay, so most of the time, when you're trying to pick colors, you want to be careful with your choice of colors. You don't want to pick something that will be too bright to your audience. Okay, you want to pick colors that your audience that is cool to the eyes, right? That your audience can look at and enjoy looking at. Okay, it is the same concepts that work for when you're trying to design a presentation slides. You don't want to use so many awful colors, okay? That makes a whole lot of things difficult for people you're presenting to. Okay, nice. So I've been able to change the two colors here, mountain bikes and road bikes. Again, I want to come to this option. If you want, you can add data label so that we can know the actual values of these charts. So I can go here and check on data label. Okay. So the data label is not floating in nicely just because of the way our charts are. Okay, there are cases you may need to maybe make some sort of adjustments to your data label. Okay, so I just drag it a bit. I can click again and drag this up a bit. Okay, just to give that value concerns to the data label. Okay, so there we go with our data. Okay, so sometime if you're adding data labels, you may not need all of these values. Okay, and sometimes you can just let them be. Okay, so ideally, while working in this data, you want to create another sheet, maybe the third sheet, and this time you can call the third sheet dashboard. Okay, this is a dashboard. Okay, then in this dashboard section is where you now try to customize your data. Okay, some of the things you do on your dashboard is, of course, this is where you want to have only the visual or the charts of your analysis. So because of that, most of the time you want to turn off all of these things we have here. So how do you do all of that? You have to go to the view section and make sure you turn off grid line. You want to make sure you turn off formulas and you want to make sure you turn off headings. Okay, so this is looking blank and nice for a dashboard, right? So I'm just going to highlight some boxes here and pick these boxes within this range, and from here I can just go ahead and um, you know change the color of what I have here. So I can go here, instead of this, I can change it to a very cool color, welcoming color. Say I want something to shouty, so maybe let me stick with this for now. Then I can, make sure the columns I've selected, I want to make sure I merge them. Okay. If I don't merge them, I can't write on them. Okay, I can give it a title. So I want to go to home and we have this merge section. I want to merge them center. Okay, this will give me the flexibility to be able to write across them. Okay, so for that purpose I can just say bike. The title of this is going to be bike sales analysis. Okay, then I want to highlight all of this and increase the size. Say maybe 26, it's fine. If I want, I may need to change the color as well to maybe white. Then I need to make it bold. Okay. So yeah, so from this, we've already created a path for our dashboard. Then I can come to this point. I'm just going to pick this chart by maybe copying directly on the chart, right clicking and clicking on copy, then go to my dashboard. Then I want to place it somewhere here. Okay, nice. There we go. So we are beginning to have a dashboard where we are going to do most of our analysis from. Okay, yeah. So yeah. So the good thing here is that one important thing you need to pay key attention to while working with pivot table is that if I need to do another analysis, I would I can delete this chart, but I can't delete this table. Once you delete this table, it's going to affect this analysis you've done. So oftentimes, what you do is, since you have a copy of this, I can delete it gently and I still have it here. But if I delete this guy, the chart goes away. Now, if I need to do another analysis, all I have to do is to click maybe somewhere here and go back to my original data. This is my data. Then I'm going to do it as if I want to do my analysis afresh. I'm going to go back to insert. Then I'm going to pick pivot table once again, just as we did earlier. Then it's going to pick the entire range. Now, instead of me saying new working sheets, I'm going to say existing working sheets. Okay, so I'm no longer using new working sheets because I have a place where I am building the whole thing. Okay, so I'll pick existing working sheets. Then I need to use this little button here to pick where I want this existing sheet to actually appear. Okay, so I'll just click on this little button under the existing sheet. I'll click on it. Then you can see this tab here already open. So I'm going to click on my pivot. Then I will click where I want to do my pivoting. You see, it just take the recording of where you've selected. And now I'm going to click on this small button again, then click on it. Then I'm going to click on OK. Right? So once you do this, you can go ahead and do your second analysis. Okay. Now, we've identified that a lot of customers are making more purchases on mountain bikes, right? On road bike, I mean to say. So, but then which bicycle is really giving the organization profit? Can we check it? So let's do that analysis as well. So for me to know, I'm going to pick subcategories because we want to find out the profits that comes from this, and I'm going to pick profits. Okay, let's see. So yeah, so a whole lot of the profits are actually coming from road bikes. Okay, and this can be easier said. Maybe it's as a result of the large amounts of sales we are experiencing here. But sometimes in some data you will discover that it's not by the number of sales that you have that will determine if the number or the level of profits that you are making. So sometimes you can have a product that is selling very high, but you are not making so much profit from it. It's the one that is even selling less. When you sell one, you make a whole lot of profits. Okay. So now that we have this, so it's not like it's only two categories you can check. We can check for even more than two. So we say we've checked for, we looked at subcategories here, right? And maybe let's say we want to include states where this we are making more sales. So I can check on states. Okay, so we now have two options here. One is mountain bikes and road bikes. So, for example, we are making um, in mountain bikes, only two states are making more of the purchases. That's people from England and Victoria. They are the one making more of the purchases of the mountain bikes. However, for mountain bikes, more of the sales is actually coming from England, right? Then for are we looking at sales or profit? Okay, we are looking at profit. So more of the profit is actually coming in from England. Then for road bike, we have couple of states, but more of the sales is coming in from California. Okay, so we can put this into chart as well. So I can make sure I click on pivot table analyze, then click on pivot charts, and there we go. Look at a couple of charts. So let me not use column again. Maybe I can decide to use bar charts. Okay, in this order, then I can go ahead and maybe check on this. Okay, so there we go here. Okay, so from this we have two categories of sales happening here. For mountain bikes, more of the sales is actually happening in England. Then for road bike, more of the sales is actually happening in California, followed by Berlin. Then you have Queensland, right? Okay, so from that had we've gotten a better view of this. So maybe if I want to check for other charts that maybe that may even work better, I can still try to look up. Despite I've picked this, I can just go to maybe under my pivot analyze options again. Then I can go ahead and click on change chart type. That's under design. Okay. Then I'll click on change chart type. Then I can look at other options. Okay. Can go to column again. Look at different column options. So sometimes you just look around for charts that best suits. So pie charts can give us something nice, but there are a whole lot of sometimes in data analysis you are not allowed to use pie charts when you have more than seven segregations. Okay, so you may want to pick something else, especially like bar charts. Okay, so there's this area charts. Okay, but this may be a bit complex to some persons to interpret, but they work like bar charts and all of that. So let's stick to what we picked earlier. So here we go. So again, um, you can convert it to 3D if you want and all of that. So for this, we are going to change this to profits by sales by state, right? So I can change the title of this to profits by what? State or province? State. Okay. Profit by states. Okay. There we go. Then again, in our usual style, I want to remove these grid lines. So I can click on this, then I can go ahead and uncheck grid lines. That looks better. Then again, I don't think I need legends, so I want to uncheck legends. Then all of these field, I don't think I need them as well. So even my axis, okay, I'll play around that. So I can just click on these guys here and make sure I hide all field buttons. So there we go. Yeah. So making more sense. So if I uncheck axis, so that's going to uncheck all of my axes. So you have axis title. If there are some titles you don't want, I think I want to keep most of my chart title. Okay. So profit by sales is good. So maybe if there is anything I don't want here, maybe I can remove the axis beneath. Okay. That's pretty much gave my analysis more sense. So if I may want to differentiate the mountain bikes from the road bikes by giving mountain bikes and road bike different colors. Okay, so I can pick this by just clicking on it once and making sure it is the only thing that is highlighted. Then I can go ahead, hold down control and pick the next maybe bar I would want to pick. Okay, that is pretty much going to give us the needed segregations. Okay, but then the most important thing is to be able to now lift this from this location to again by doing Control C to our dashboard area. Okay, this is our dashboard area. Then I want to uh, paste this here. I want it to lap properly. So I want to paste it here. There we go. Okay, so this is another analysis. So from this, we've known that from our data set, we make more of our sales from, road bikes. And for the road bikes, much of the sales are actually coming in from, um, so sorry, I want to see if I can just sort the data from its organized nature so that we have them more in an organized way. So I'm going to do sort, maybe from smallest to largest, whichever way that you feel is okay. So we can easily identify which is which. So we know that in California, that's where we have the highest sales of, the bicycle, the road bike, then followed by Berlin, then Queensland and the likes. Then for the mountain bike, the highest sales is actually we only sell in two places or two countries, which is actually in England and what in Victoria. Okay, so this make more of sense since it is now well organized. I can copy that, and of course, okay, that has taken effect here as well. So if I want here, I can now go back to my pivots and I want to delete this option, but I want to keep this pivot table always available. Okay, now, yeah, so we have this nice looking already dashboards with two analysis. So we can keep on checking and do a whole lot of beautiful analysis. I will add one more chart here, then we can, call it a day. So if I go back to my pivot table once again, I can decide to consider bringing in a slicer. Okay. So, for example, we have this dashboard section. If I click on, say, okay, let me use this. If I click on mountain bike, and I go down to pivot chart analyzer, you can see something called insert slicer. I can click on insert slicer. You can see slicer as some sort of filter. Okay, you use it to filter things. Okay, so let me check my data. Let me see what I can filter around. If I can filter with country, if we have more than one country, okay, we have more than one country. So I can use uh, country as some sort of filter. Okay, so I can go back to my pivot analyzer, pick insert slicer, then I want to pick country, okay, as my slicer, and I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. So you can see all of the country we have so far. Yeah, these are the countries we have here. So we have Australia, we have Canada, we have France, we have United Kingdom, and United States. So if my idea was to look at maybe profits in countries in states in the Australia regions, I can just click on Australia, right? Okay, and that pretty much affects only Australia. If I click on Canada, that affects only Canada. If I click on France, only France. If I click on United Kingdom, only United Kingdom. And if I click on United States, then United States only. Okay, but you will notice something, that this chart, this filter does not apply to this chart, right? That's because whatever chart you click on when you are bringing in a filter, that's what the filter can, control. But if you want to apply it to the other filter, you would have to right click on this option here, and you want to go down to report connection. Click on report connection. You can see pivot table 2 is on check. So you want to make sure you check on it and click on OK. So once you do this, this slicer will now be able to control what you have here. So for example, if I click on Australia the next time, you can see it now affects the two charts. So in Australia, there are sales in Queensland, Victoria, and what? South Australia for road bikes. Then for there's only one state in Australia, which is Victoria, where mountain bike is being sold. Then in Canada, we only have one state, which is British Columbia, where only road bikes are being sold. We also have in France, Berlin, where only road bikes are sold. You have United Kingdom, where you have, one sales in mountain bikes, and you know and England, okay, where you have road bikes. Then you have United Kingdom, where you have also two sales, and both of them are actually on road bikes, which is in California and Washington. So to uncheck the filter, you can just click on this, and that pretty uncheck and restore the nature of your data set. So this is pretty much how easy it is when you have a data set that is clean, and you can do a whole lot of analysis with this data. Okay, pretty straightforward, right? Hello, everybody.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, pretty straightforward, right? So I'm going to share this data set with you guys. Of course, with the support of the recorded section, you can go over through it again with the data sets and try to build something even better than what this dashboard looks like. So probably if you have any challenge while trying to build them, you can come up with them in our next section while we try to fix all of this. Okay, do you have any question for me? Any question?
None from my
Okay,
end.
okay. Is there anyone on the section now that wasn't in the section from the beginning and had issue with working with the assignments, maybe because they weren't clear or something? Okay, nice. So it means if you're clear with that and you're good with this, you should be able to put up a nice dashboard and make it available to us before the next section. And in the next section, we'll focus more on cleaning data, which we said take a larger part of any data analytical process. Okay, because once you get your cleaning wrong, your whole analysis is going to be totally wrong. And you don't want to do analysis that are wrong. Your analysis should be able to inform decisions for companies and organizations, not to, destroy what has already been built. Okay. So yeah, so I think that will be that for today. Want to say a very big thank you to MacKenny Consultancy Services for making this opportunity available to everyone. So I don't know if any question. We don't have any question. So I said I'm just going to call it a day from these sections. And when we see in the next class.
Please, I have a question.
Okay, please go ahead.
Please, where can we get the recorded videos? Because I know I've missed a lot. I need the recorded videos. How do I access it?
Okay, so I think Mrs. Wasila, she's going to reach out to you guys with the recorded section. Maybe latest by tomorrow, I guess. And all of you should have access to it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Uh,
very much.
okay, all right, everyone. If that's all, see you in the next class. Take care of yourselves and
Thank you so much.
yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you, everybody.